Is it live? Is this on? It's live! We're live!
I just like to jam first, like get everybody like woken up, you know.
I love the video.
They probably can't even hear that shit. Probably,
Nah, I can hear it.
Probably hear like Charlie Brown's mother or some shit. Oh man. You know, any good salesman's got to listen to some kind of music to get their blood flowing before they do something, right?
Something. I've been on my techno shit today for some reason. I don't know. David Guetta.
Yeah, because you're
Shout
weird.
out to David Guetta. If you're watching this, David, hit me up. Let's go hang out. I don't know. But hey, we got a couple people logging on, so I'm just going to give it another minute. I appreciate you coming on board. Let me switch the screen. Since you're the star of the show, I'll let them look at you. They probably don't want to look at my ass. So, well, my success series, man, is, you know, this show is dedicated to having highly successful people. Instead of doing the radio shows, everybody's got a fucking radio show these days, so I decided, fuck that, I'm not going to do a radio show. I'm just going to do some Google Hangouts, and we're going to get to see people and hear the true story of what's really going on out there with badass entrepreneurs, celebrities, successful people, people who have been at the top of the game, who have failed miserably, who have come back. Just hear the whole struggle of what makes people successful and how successful people think, and you know, what people on the front lines are out there doing to make things happen. I definitely appreciate having you on today, Ryan. It seems a little weird this time I get to interview you back, I don't know, 2011, when you had the radio show. That's how we really got started, man. What was that?
I still have a radio show. I just recorded an episode today.
Well, yeah, but back when I was on your end of the thing, and now the student has become teacher, and and we still got people coming on. So as I don't know why there's a delay. Your camera is better than mine, but the audio sucks. It just kind of delays a little bit. So I'll have to pause and let you go. But I really appreciate having you, man. And I just felt like before I wrap this year up with the success series, I've had several people on this year. From New York to New Jersey to Arkansas to Hawaii to, Detroit and Utah, all over the world. And I thought, man, I got to have Ryan on. I haven't had Ryan on this year, so I want to wrap this year up with a badass show and have you on and let folks hear the story and maybe get some answers to some of the questions people have wondered and just haven't asked, and maybe give them a little preview to what's coming in the book. Kick ass, take names, numbers, and emails, which I love that title. But further ado, man, Ryan Stewman, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man, cool to be here. I feel like you kind of brought me on here to make fun of me, though, because you were like, everybody got a radio show. And I'm like, man, I have a radio show, but I have one for a really long time. But regardless, I have one. I'm like, damn it, Sean. What is it, some kind of public
no, I just
bullshit? It's in April. It's not April, man.
No, man, I was just trying to do it this way, you know. I just want to be a little different, do things different, think creatively me to do. So instead of doing the radio show, I just thought this might be a little cooler way to do it and get interviews out there. But, man, I want to get started with just asking you to tell us a little bit about the mortgage game. We know that, obviously, you're the hardcore closer.com, as it shows there on the on your name banner, and that's how most people probably know you. But you came up in the mortgage game, and you know you got started in a time when everybody was coming out of the business and everybody was sucking wind and losing money, and the sub game was you know all but gone, and you decided to jump in and just took off and kicked ass. So tell us a little bit about how that got started and you know, some of the successes you had while you were in the mortgage business.
Well, I started doing mortgage, I think, in 2003. And so, like, that was right about the time that the subprime thing or whatever was ending, but I didn't really know any better. So I got lucky and got my first deal pretty quick, which a lot of people that get into real estate and mortgages, they usually get their first deal from somebody they know that's in their immediate surroundings pretty quick. Same with multi-level marketing. What happens is, you know, all of a sudden you find out that you've talked to everybody in your your sphere of influence, and you got to, you know, go outside the people that you just know and meet new people for business. And I'm not like a stranger type of person. I talk to people in the line at Walmart, not about business, but just about anything, right? I'll talk to anybody passing on the streets or whatever. You know, I'm just that kind of person. So, you know, I at the time, I saw that you know, everybody was chasing real estate agents, which seemed like a pretty good idea, and I made friends with a couple of them. But I kept seeing these like Robert Kiyosaki or somebody like that commercials on TV, like come to this event and learn how to sell real estate. And I'm like, well, if people are going to learn to sell and buy real estate, they're probably going to need some money somewhere in between there. So I started frequenting these events that there was never any lenders or anything at, right? Meantime, I meet a bunch of people who are already investors or who are buying the course and about to be investors, and I just started being friends with them. And the next thing you know, I was doing, you know, quite a bit of loans back then that were majority investor loans, right? These guys would go to these seminars, go through this. It was really my first interaction with info products too. These people would take these info products and they would learn from them. They would take action. I would go get them, you know, a mortgage for either them or maybe the people that bought the home in the end or whatever. And it, you know, that method alone, thinking outside of the box, made me the top producer in the company for, you know, within probably about 6 or 7 months, really quickly. And then I opened my own branch of that company, and I failed miserably because, like, I'm not here to manage people and worry about other people's production. And if I think that you're going to be the person to make me money, then I'll get lazy on you. I didn't know that back then when I was young, but I know that about myself now. So that failed miserably. Went back to work for another mortgage company, and same thing, went back into investors and stuff like that. And that was kind of always my niche. And I worked with the top producing real estate agent here locally as well. So I had like the #1 real estate agent in Collin County, and then I had worked with some of the, you know, investors would buy some of them 5 or 10 properties a month. You know, put 20% down, go through conventional financing and stuff like that, and it just allowed me to do a whole lot of mortgages. Well, I took like a hiatus from the mortgage business like 2007 and came back in 2008, and the game had changed. There was no more subprime, there was no more down payment assistance or any of that stuff. And I went to work for a company here in Dallas that was like a really big private bank. And the guy's on TV all the time, like, you know, doing really cheesy commercials, and he's on radio all the time doing really cheesy commercials. They paid a lot of money for SEO. They pay a lot of money for Google ads. And because of that, I got to see, I became very successful at closing internet leads. I was the top producer of that place too. They provided the leads. I had a couple of relationships, like with the realtors and things like that, but for the majority, I relied on their internet leads, right? But I learned at working at that place how they did all this stuff, how they got their leads, why it was important to advertise, what their budget was, how many leads they brought in, what they did to generate them, and I got to see what was all possible from, like, you know, that perspective of it. And then, like I said, I was top producer there for several years, and then, you know, in 2010, like, the rules changed the mortgage game, and I had a felony from a long time ago, and I lost my license, and that's kind of how I was forced into this. But that top producing real estate agent that I talk about, he was like the person that told me I should get into the internet marketing side of things and help loan officers, and he didn't mention real estate agents because that's what he does, you know what I mean? But ultimately, that's what I ended up doing. So I fought it for a while. I tried all sorts of other stuff, but you know, eventually I was a good loan officer, so I could lead by example. I am a good marketer, so it allows me to lead by example. And, you know, I've been believing in this social media thing since, you know, I would talk to people and they'd be like, Facebook, man, that's for like Candy Crush and everything else. Get out of my office. I'm not going to let my employees get on Facebook. That was before there was even a mobile phone out for Facebook. You know, so like I was forced into this shit because I didn't have a license anymore and I couldn't write mortgages. So I had to figure out something to do. And the only thing that I could really sell was like my skills on doing stuff. But I failed. Like my first ad out the gate, I made, you know, like 30 grand or something like that in profit from selling this like how-to video thing for I think $47 or something like that. And then I took that money and I invested the 30 grand that I made plus the money that I had before, which was like all the money that I had at the time. And I invested it in an ad campaign, failed because like people bought it, but I ended up having to give a bunch of refunds and shit like that because, you know, some rule changed and I wasn't active in the mortgage business anymore, so I didn't know you could do this, right? I had to give some of their money back. Oh, dude, it's a fucking nightmare. So, you know, I've had my ups and downs in this internet business, but I'm always, I'm like definitely a student of the game. I pay really close attention.
So let's talk about the transition into the hardcore closer role and like tell us how that whole concept came about. Like what is the hardcore closer? Why did you choose that name? And when you initially, gave birth to the company, what was your vision, and then what were some of the roadblocks maybe along the way, as well as some of the successes that you had?
Dude, that's a really good question, honestly, because I don't think anybody's ever asked me that on any interview that I've been on. So, like, so it worked like this. So, my ex-wife got pregnant and with Jax, my son, and so I took a job selling cars, and I worked all summer long. It was really hot. I ran the podcast from my car in the parking lot of the car dealership. This was 2011. So from like March to November of 2011, I worked 70, 80 hours a week selling cars, right? I was the top salesman there. Maybe some months one other guy would beat me because I really tried to work the least amount possible, did my usual smoked in the behind the building type of shit, you know what I mean? But I sold probably 20, 25 cars every month. And I hated it, right? I didn't hate selling cars. I fucking love selling cars. But I hated like being there on site all the time. Like I knew that with my skill and systems and everything that there was a lot easier way that I could have, everybody show up and I could manage it, but they weren't trying to hear that shit. It drove me nuts. So I quit. As soon as Jax was born, I worked there for insurance. And as soon as Jax was born and everything was all cleared, like I quit and I went to work for this title company, and this title company's not even around anymore. But this title company in Plano was like literally right across the street from my then in-laws' house, so it was like really convenient to go there and be able to drop Jax off at their house and everything else. And I was trying to do something different than every other title company. They didn't offer me a salary. They didn't offer me any like contact lists to call or anything like that. They were relying solely on me to make them money, which is kind of shitty if you think about it, right? Like, let's use your contacts and your skill, and we're not going to take any risk on our end, but whatever, right? And so the way that I thought that I was going to get out of that was I was going to teach marketing to loan officers, in exchange get business from them. So I called, 4 or 5 loan officers that I knew, and I got them together. We shot different videos, and we put different Facebook strategies together and everything else. And, one of the things that back then people weren't really buying, this 2011, 12, maybe early 2012, people weren't buying into, doing videos and Facebook, stuff like that like they are now. This shit's only happened in the last year. Years past, man, nobody wanted to get political on Facebook. Nobody cussed on Facebook. Nobody wanted to talk about really pressing issues on there. It was, this is what I had for lunch. This is before Instagram, too. Think about it. This is what I had for lunch. This is what I did tonight. And my life is fucking awesome. That's all anybody ever said, without the F word, honestly. Like, it was just this place that nobody did business at or whatever. Meanwhile, I had recruited a bunch of people for like different stuff in there. So I wanted to do that, combine it with these loan officers. So turns out none of these loan officers, well, Brian, he did pretty well with it. But besides him, nobody else really took any action with this shit, right? They never did anything. And I thought, man, it's hard to find some hardcore people that'll go out there and take risk and do something that are different. And then being in the title business, that's what you do is you close. And I'm obviously a salesperson. Was a closer at the car dealership. Somebody couldn't get the sale done, I would go behind them and talk to the client, And so I thought hardcore closer, just like it fit me, because everything I do, I have a lot of energy and I'm full steam ahead. You'll never hear me talking quietly. You'll never see me going slow in the car. I'm just like a hardcore person. Plus, I've had a really rough life, And so it just seemed to fit, and I just went with it. And then I didn't really set the site up to be about me. I set the site up because originally it wasn't a business. It was just a website. But I set the site up so that people could go there and get marketing information, and they really wouldn't know who it was from. They were just for hardcore closers, right, for other people, not necessarily me. And then all of a sudden people started saying, after like maybe 8, 9, 10 months of me building this shit and branding it over and over again, people started calling me the hardcore closer. People started saying, man, he's like the best salesman ever. You should watch his videos and all this other stuff. And like, well, who's not going to own that shit once the marketplace starts calling me something? Clearly, they were absolutely correct. So I'm not going to play that down. And so I just kind of became, that's a good example, everybody, if you think about it, of branding. And like I said, that title company's not even around anymore. Imagine if they would have embraced what I was doing. I have contacts worldwide, thousands of them now. We've had thousands of paying clients at this point. It could have been huge for them, but they didn't catch the vision. And in the beginning, a lot of people didn't catch the vision. People didn't understand social media so much that I had a company called PostVuser who actually wrote posts for people because they didn't know what the fuck to do. The guy you're looking at on the camera is one of them. On the other one, not me. So it it spawned from a title company, me just trying to be different. But I learned a valuable lesson, a really valuable lesson I'll share with everybody. And I've said this several times on my fan page, but your friends, your family, a lot of times they're not going to believe in you, especially if you're doing some outside of the box shit, right? They're going to be like, well, we'll see how this pans out before we trust them. And I find that, once in my business, like in the beginning, the 5 loan officers, like I said, most of them didn't get any results because they didn't implement it. They didn't pay for it. They knew me, blah, blah, blah. Even though they knew me to be successful, it was like, well, he's a different type of character, but whatever the case may be. But once I started dealing with cold traffic, like people I had never met before, giving them my free stuff, getting them to know me digitally, whether it be on Facebook or through my website or whatever the case may be, building that familiarity with them, that's when my business really started blowing up. It's amazing to me how you can get somebody that's never met you before, that hardly knows anything about you other than some shit they saw online, to give you money versus if I tried to get, my buddy Tim or whatever to sign up for my coaching program. You know what I mean? And so that's just how it is. And people that know you, they feel like that you owe them, or maybe it's not even that. It's just that maybe it's an ego thing. I don't know what the case is, but I noticed that even in my mortgage business, when I would deal with my friends and family, they would say, what's your rate, fees, or blah, 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 because I wouldn't have to sell them, so I'd just tell them what I could do to get them a deal. They would ask me those type of questions. People that were in Houston, Austin, Dallas, wherever, that I'd never met, would never come to my office. All they know me from is a voice on the other end of the phone and some text on the other end of the email. Will give me their social, their date of birth, all their financial info, paycheck stuff, Social Security, trust me with the DNA samples of their firstborn kid and everything else, when it's like trying to get teeth out of people that you know. So, valuable lesson. Valuable lesson, people.
Yeah, and I noticed that, when I was in the insurance game, and obviously everybody tries to start with their warm market, and honestly, it would just piss me off when they wouldn't do it. I'm like, you know what, I'm done with that, and I quit.
Because you do get pissed off, and what happens is you start to feel as a salesman like, damn, if I can't sell my family and friends, man, who the fuck can I sell, right? But really, it's the opposite. And I think a lot of people, they quit. A lot of people get into real estate for 6 months and then they quit. And I think that has a lot to do with it. They think, well, damn, if my friends and family aren't going to trust me, how can I be successful at this? But I'm here to tell you that those are going to be the last people to give you. But you're going to have to build rapport with a bunch of fucking strangers before the people around you and your sphere of influence most likely will trust you, unless you got some serious game, right?
So let's talk real quick about some of your branding and your social media presence. Obviously, you got a lot of fans, a lot of followers, and between Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and page and YouTube and your blog and all that shit. One of the things that people notice as soon as they get connected to you is that you're very outspoken, and really nothing is really in terms of things that you'll talk about or that you're willing to post about or shoot videos on or what have you. And a lot of times in business, we think that we think and we're taught that you have to appeal to the masses and you have to wear the navy suit and the white shirt and the red tie and look a certain way and act a certain way and speak a certain way in order to attract clients, in order to appear professional, and so on and so forth. But it seemed like very different approach to that in that you're very outspoken. I mean, you're on this interview in a t-shirt with tattoos exposed, and a lot of people who know that my blog gets a lot of views, my YouTube page has 6-figure views, and it's probably going to be a lot of traffic. We've got a couple dozen people watching live right now, and they would suit up for this kind of an event and know that it's going to be out there forever and replayed and traffic run to it, so on and so forth. But you decide not to do that. Obviously, you've said a few cuss words here today, and that's okay because we're not on the radio, so you can say whatever the fuck you want. And it's my show, and I say that, so boom, that's how we run shit. But anyway, tell me how you decided, or at what point you decided that, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and were you ever afraid that maybe that approach would turn people off, or did somebody tell you this is the way that you should be, just be you, or how did that all come about, and why did you decide to take the position you do when the popularity the popular thing to do is and the socially correct or politically correct thing to do is to, be a certain way and avoid certain topics and whatnot.
Well, yes, the easiest way to say it was like, so I didn't just turn into this overnight, right? And so I understand that. Like, I started out in 2008 as a dude that wore a suit and tie to work, was in church on Sunday, and I liked that lifestyle. There was nothing wrong with that, but I was forced out of it. Not necessarily the church side. That's a whole different story for a whole other show. But I was forced out of the corporate side, and I thought, well, if I'm not going to be a corporate dude, then I'm not going to pretend like I'm a corporate dude, right? And now I had to obviously wear a tie and a shirt every day when I sold cars and stuff like that, so I stepped back into that realm. But people were calling me the hardcore closer, and it allowed me to be a little bit different, to say a few controversial things. I didn't have a boss. I didn't have anybody to really hold me accountable. From time to time, my parents and stuff like that would bitch about some of the things I said. But what I found is, like, the more that I was, like, honest and about myself and the things that I was up to and had done and whatever, a couple of things, it held me accountable. The other thing is, people would always private message me and say, hey, man, I could never say some of the shit that you say on here, but I'm glad somebody's fucking saying it. And it just, slowly and surely over the course of like 5 or 6 years now, it's grown into, me just being myself. I'm really comfortable in my own skin, with all the coaching that I've done, with all the, the hardships that I've overcome. I've dissected all that stuff, and I'm just really comfortable being me. And I'm really comfortable that if you don't like me, that's really cool too. Like, I used to fight haters on my fan page. I used to respond to them and be like, hey, man, you're such an asshole, right? And like, but I don't give a shit anymore. I'm so comfortable with who I am. I'm so comfortable with and not because like I'm egotistical or arrogant. You may think that, and I might be. I'm not here to debate that. I'm just saying, and I'm cool with that, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. But what I do understand is, like, I'm comfortable in the results and confident in the results that I can get for people. And a lot of the people that I work with, or all of the people that I work with, are just like me. Now, don't get me wrong. I have people that are preachers that have been clients. I have, women that serve in the church that have been clients. I have people that, have different religions that have been clients, all different races. But we all have the same fucking view on how this work thing goes down. And they're wanting somebody who can look them in the eye and tell them the truth, instead of, somebody to give them that, it's okay, man, all you got to do is just keep out there plugging away, praying to the universe. They want someone to tell them the truth. Like, this is what you do. You'll get a fan page, you create this shit, and they won't even see it coming, and they'll give you their information. You get on the phone with them, this, do it, and you close them, right? And I have those systems down so much that I'm really confident. So if I want to say fuck the police on my face, it's bullshit that it's illegal, then that's my business, and I don't, like, who am I going to answer to? If I get pulled over by the police and I happen to have weed in my car, which I don't drive with it, so if I happen to have it in my car or something like that, then you know what? I'll answer to that deal then, right? Because there's laws and I broke it and I'll have to pay the fine and the penalty, right? But I don't have a boss that's going to fire me. I don't collect welfare checks where I have to take a drug test. I don't have, same with, I don't have to wear a suit because it's a nice day here in Texas. So it'd be kind of hot for me to wear a suit, but I'm comfortable wearing a t-shirt, and I like tattoos. I wouldn't have got them. So.
That's awesome. And I'm a suit and tie guy, I think you would say, but obviously in working with you and working alongside you, I've sort of relaxed and sort of settled into accepting who I am, and now I don't have a boss either. I can show up in not quite a t-shirt. It's sort of a really soft fabric.
Yeah, fancy. Mine's got buttons and stuff, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I can show up like this. I show up like this. No, but I can do that now, and I feel comfortable. I don't feel like I got to suit up. I'm in my living room. I used to do all the shit with the backdrop and the lights, and but I'm over all that. In the trike, I see the tricycle. I rode that before, but what I found in that approach is, and obviously you teach your clients this, I teach my clients this, we teach our clients this in the Break Free Academy is just being honest and true to yourself, and letting that resonate will actually attract people to you who are like you and who relate with you, and those who not relate with you but relate to you. But you know, for those that don't know my story, I was in the insurance business, and as I transitioned my way out of the insurance world into the coaching world that I'm in now, I started working with Ryan and selling some of his programs to free up his time to allow him to create some new stuff and really help me kind of get into this how to sell coaching services and whatnot. And so as I was doing that for several months, I had a lot of people who on the sidelines locally saw this partnership and this bond growing between Ryan and myself, and or between me and you. I don't know if I'm talking to you or if I'm talking to them. Whatever. Saw the bond and saw us together more often, and you know, I had people pull me aside and, you know, do the whole, you know, Sean, you know, Ryan really, you know, he cusses and he talks about politics and religion, and he smokes weed and he doesn't hide it, and he wears T-shirts and he has tattoos. You know, that's really not kind of your thing. You know, just be careful, Sean. You know, this whole just be careful. But really, it was more of a, I don't like this fucking guy, so you shouldn't like him either. But in a more subtle way to make it more about, I just care about you, Sean, and you know, don't do this. You know, be careful what, you know, you might ruin your brand or your image or whatever. But as I got on these sales calls, to your point earlier, I noticed that all of your clients were like, I'm just like Ryan. You know, what made you want to us? And it's like, well, you know, I just really relate to Ryan. I feel like he and I are a lot alike on a lot of issues, and you know, I just really want to work with somebody who I feel like I can relate to. And you know, as I started to see that, I started to let people know, like, yeah, I get it, man. The guy cusses. He's different than me. His approach is a little different than me. But you know what? 90% of the people I put into the program get there because they like who he is as a person. They relate to him. He's relatable. You know, he's not some guy behind a pulpit, you know, preaching this sermon and then going and living some other way. I mean, you look at some of the most corrupt, fucking nasty people in the world, and they wear these big giant gowns and pretend to be a certain way on Sunday. Meanwhile, they're, you know, dating their kid sister or their kid sister's friend that's 8 years old or whatever. But no knock to Catholics. If that's you, I'm sorry. Send me an email or whatever. I'll run it up the corporate chain and make sure somebody responds to you. Anyway, but for that shit. But you know, the thing is that it works. And you know, the first coach after Ryan that I hired really taught me a big part of my problem was that I wasn't authentic. And you know, I was trying to do the whole mass appeal thing, and I wasn't appealing to who I was, and I wasn't giving all of me to the people who I was bringing into my life. Thus, I wasn't getting all of them, and none of my relationships were real, and thus it created this big emptiness inside of me. So it's not about me. The show's not about me, but I just wanted to kind of tell you guys how I know firsthand that this stuff works. Just being real and being authentically and truly to who you are, and how I've firsthand witnessed that that's paid off. Not only for Ryan, but then, you know, for myself as well. So, anything you want to add, Ryan, to that before I move on?
Well, you know, it's funny, that's just people, period, right? Because they whisper in my ear about, you know, man, you sure you working with Sean, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's just how fucking people are, right? And the thing is, you know, a couple of things. People are just going to hate in general no matter what happens, right? I could be working with Joel Osteen, and I could be the cleanest cut dude you ever seen, and people find a reason to not like us, right? Like, that's just human nature. But, you know, one of the things... Didn't you take one of my books the other day?
Yeah, that was...
I'm going to hold on to your sweater then, and so we'll just make sure I get that back. People tend to disappear with books. I don't know what the fuck it is with that. They're like, oh, it's just a book. But anyway, so, you know, that's just what people are. And I find that it's kind of like, you know, real estate agents. They say they want to do $1 million properties, but yet they take the $100,000 listings so that when they do their advertising or when people see their signs, it's in front of $100,000 houses, not $1 million homes. And you have to give up those $100,000 homes in order to be able to tap into the $1 million homes, because they're two totally different demographics of human beings, right? They're two totally, you've got to know stuff on a different level. Well, with me, it's kind of the same way. I don't talk to my family anymore, man. That's just a consequence of what I do. I don't talk to them anymore. We had disagreement, falling out several years ago, and that helped through my freedom too. And honestly, since that's how my income skyrocketed, because I don't have to hide stuff to protect, them or whatever, okay, so that their friends don't find out I'm a degenerate. And so which I'm not, because I have one rule. Let me just sidetrack. I have one rule. The rule is I don't do nothing that would embarrass me. So like tonight, tomorrow, when I'm off screen, off camera, off Facebook, I still don't do shit that would embarrass me. If I do something that I think that would cause consequences later that I'm not willing to stand up and face, then I just don't fucking do it. And, social media helps me keep accountable for that, because what if somewhere along the line somebody posts on my wall some bullshit? I got to be able to defend it, so I just don't do dumb shit. And like I don't do things that I, that I have a devil and an angel on my shoulder, and I just don't listen to the devil, man. As tempting as the motherfucker can be sometimes, I just don't listen to him, I try to do what I think is always right. It's not always right. And sometimes my idea of right, your idea of right might be two totally different things, but I'm willing to defend the stuff that I do. But back to the, attracting the right people. I realized that in order to get with $1 million producers, I had to get rid of $100,000 thinkers, right? So to get with these $1 million producers, they're headstrong, they're closers, they're forward-driven salespeople, just like you, Sean, and they don't want somebody who's going to have this grandiose, beautiful fucking message for them. They want somebody that's going to tell them, look, this is what you do. On day one, you create this. On day two, you do this. On day three, you make sure you're doing the other two things every single day too, but you need to do this. They need somebody to line them out. And they weren't admitting that they were weak. They're not like the people that come to us, they don't admit that they're weak. It's like if you got somebody who's a good salesman or someone who's a good marketer, and then you can actually give them a blueprint and some structure to work along with. It's like giving steroids to a bodybuilder, man. All of a sudden they get bigger, quicker, and faster because they have something that, instead of them wondering what the next step's going to be in the sales process or wondering what they should do next, then fuck, it's right there. They have a system that works, that they know, that's proven over and over again. So once those people started showing up, I had to realize that the religious people or the people that were going to judge me, because I got a lot of gay friends, right? I'm a very multicultural dude. Like, I have a lot of people in my life that come from all walks of life. Like, and so, those people that were going to judge me, I wanted to get rid of them because it just makes more room for the people who aren't going to judge me. Like you said, the people that show up, they're very ego-driven. They're closers. They've got their idea of how shit works. It's really similar to mine. We get along really well, and guess what? They turn into even bigger winners than they already are. So
awesome, man. Well, so what is you've had an awesome year. Your story is too long for one show. We haven't even got into some of the other stuff that we've done and traveled the world, and the celebrities we've worked with and all that other stuff. But what's next for Hardcore Closer in 2015? You've really revamped your program. You went from, like you said, posting for $99 a month to people up to, now you've got this Hardcore Closer mastermind tribe that, you regularly kick people out of, that you're selective on who you let in, and you've got the Break Free Academy that's running every month, that's really a breeding ground to the next level, which is the Hardcore Closer mastermind tribe, which is, I've seen evolve over just the past 12 months several times. And each time you invest in yourself and go through different programs and different masterminds with some of the world's best out there, you bring those ideas down to your clients and really help them achieve massive results. So where do you see things going for you in 2015, and what should the public and the loan officers of the world, the realtors of the world, insurance agents of the world, the business owners of the world, coaches of the world who watch you, what should they be looking out for in 2015?
Well, so a couple of things. 2015, I'm going to start up some side business, but I probably won't talk about them too much. I'm going to do some different type of internet marketing stuff and some online storefront stuff, and just see, what that happens to. I've never had a business that was like something that was around entertainment or fun. So I'm going to take a hobby, since I've got my other business running pretty well. I'm going to take a hobby business on the side to see what happens there. The next thing is next year, I have to. It's one out of like I don't know, 100, maybe 1,000 people that fit the mold of what I'm looking for. Now the other 999 people, they may get value from what I'm doing, but they may not want to associate their brand with mine or whatever the case may be, right? And I want to help thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I don't mean like I want to reach millions, but I'm talking about like literally help. Like my voice, my hands-on experience with thousands of people. And the only way to do that is to continue advertising. So we've done well advertising on Facebook this year and some of the YouTube and some of the other places that we run ads. Next year, I plan to hit it twice as hard at least financially as I did this year. A lot different funds instead of joining as many masterminds and stuff as I did last year, investing more of that money into my advertising and getting things out there that way. I believe the future of this business, and it's not even the future, I believe that it should have been this way from day one, and for the people that are top producers, it has been. But I believe the future of any business is advertising. Whether you run a moving company or whether you run a carpet cleaning company, a dry cleaner, the old things of like phone books, like what the fuck do they even cut trees down for those anymore, right? Like phone books, you know, Val packs, the coupon things with a bunch of it. We don't need a coupon book. Guess what? We go to the fucking internet and get a coupon right there. Right there. Get on your phone, put on the scanner at Kroger, right? It's really fucking simple. Like all those old school shit that you're so used to doing, magnets on the refrigerator. Man, my refrigerator's stainless steel. It doesn't even hold magnets. And guess what? In $1 million homes, that's exactly how their refrigerators are too. So that your shit is worthless, right? You're like sending a $100,000 message to $1 million person. It's the reason why I say that is the future's advertising. The thing is, you got to find advertising inexpensively. Just like in the old days, you could get advertisement clicks, pay-per-click, really cheap on Google. But once Zillow, Trulia, the big brands, and everybody else, no matter what you're in, the big brands, the man that's in your industry drove the cost per click up. We see the same trend happening on Facebook right now. So what we're having to do for the guys that are in our guys and gals that are in our consulting groups and stuff like that is we're having to find niches to hit. You know, the big banks can afford to buy up the keywords for mortgages and can afford to advertise to all the people that fit certain criteria. So we're finding what we call riches and niches. We're finding targeted segments that we can get cheap pay-per-clicks from Facebook and from YouTube that'll deliver results from us. Brendan, one of my hardcore closer clients, he and I were running a little Facebook ad campaign, doing some tests together. I looked it up. He's spent $60 so far. He's got 1,800 clicks, not on the ad, 1,800 clicks to his fucking website for like less than $100, and he's put in, I think he said 26 leads so far. I'm saying in closer land, a lead is not just a name, email, address, and phone number. A lead is a name, email, address, and phone number of somebody who's serious and somebody who's qualified to purchase your stuff. So we're not in when you get a name, email, address, and phone number, that's just information. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less, information. But a lead is information from someone who's qualified to buy your shit. So he's gotten quite a few leads for a really small amount of money. And, you know, the page has, I think, close to 4,000 likes on it. And what we've done is we've come in and we've taken a niche in a really small market authority in that niche. So when people think about this particular niche, it's like, guess what? We do loans in that niche. We're the people there. And it's working really well. Developers, everybody's hit them up.
Awesome. Well, man, I like to keep these short, brief, to the point. Just give the viewers and our website followers a glimpse into the mind of a successful person. And I definitely appreciate you sharing yours with us here for a little bit. I know you're a busy guy and your schedule's packed, especially with the holidays coming up. Any last words of wisdom that you should have or that you would like to share, or how folks can reach you or whatever before we sign off here?
Yeah, a couple of things. I'll close with this and then I'll hang up immediately after because I got to hop on to something else. So first of all, go on your phone, whatever store you use, the Google, the iPhone, it doesn't matter, and search Hardcore Closer in the App Store. Get my phone. All you got to do is give me your name and email. It's going to put you on my mailing list, but at the same time, it's going to give you free access to all my stuff right there in the palm of your hand. You can stream it through the Bluetooth in your car, listen to my podcast, you can listen to my videos, you can read my blog posts while you're taking a shit in the office, a toilet, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's right there in the palm of your hand. There's no excuse for you not to have access to my stuff. It's completely free. You can even send me a message. The next time you're on the shitter, push the button, send me a message, say, yo, I was taking a shit, I was thinking about you. You know, it's all good. Like, you can have it right there for free. There's nothing for sale inside the app, none of that stuff. So make sure you go there. Just go to your app store and type in Hardcore Closer and this guy's app. will show up, and you can just download it for free. Now, I will leave you with this, and I talked about this on my radio show earlier. And the thing is, if you're going to have more in 2015, because it's like a month around the corner, right? Because, well, I'll get it together next year shit is like fixing to be fucking next year. Get it together, right? So if you're going to have more in 2015 than you did in 2014, regardless of whether you had a good year or a bad year, regardless of whether 2014 was your worst year or your best year, if you're going to do better in 2015, which you should always strive to do better every time the scorecard resets, right, you've got a chance to get a higher score. That's the point of playing the game of life, right? But if you're going to do more and have more in 2015 than you did in 2014, you're going to have to do and you're going to have to do more in order to have more in 2015. Now, that might be putting efficiency systems in place like proper advertising versus cold calls and Valpak and phone book shit or whatever the hell else that you do, right? It might be switching around your systems where you may not necessarily have to do more in a physical sense as far as taking up your time, but you're going to have to do more in a sense of getting in front of more people, using the right mechanisms, the right methods, and everything else. And I tell you what, if you repeat the same shit that you did in 2014 and you expect it to be better because the economy is going to get better or this is going to happen or we just had this political shift or that political shift, you're fucking yourself, because the only way it's going to get better is if you do more and you implement the right stuff in the right places to be able to, in the right strategies and everything else to be able to have more in 2015. So if you're sitting here and you're expecting next year just to be a better year because you have what do they call it, exuberant expectations of the economy and everything else, it's not going to happen, right? The economy could go to shit in a minute. We could go to war with anybody, right? And all of a sudden the bank interest rates and everything could rise. And you're in the banking business, so you got to figure out a way to sell that stuff. And the only way to be able to do anything is to be able to have the right systems and everything else in place that's going to allow you to do more for next year, because it's the only way you're going to beat this year.
Boom. I appreciate you, brother. I'm signing off. Thank you.